The radio crackled with static across the USS Gerald R. Ford as Lieutenant Commander Keiko Ghost Nakamura watched the tactical display flicker red. 8 Navy SEALs were pinned down in the mountains of eastern Syria, their extraction window closing fast. The mission had gone sideways 3 hours ago when intelligence failed to mention the enemy's new surface-to-air missile system. Now, in the pre-dawn darkness, those 8 warriors were fighting for their lives, while command scrambled to find solutions that didn't exist. "Control, this is Viper 1, came the strained voice of Chief Petty Officer Marcus Rodriguez through the encrypted channel. "We're taking heavy fire from multiple positions. Request immediate air support, over." The silence that followed lasted exactly 7 seconds. 7 seconds that would haunt everyone in the Combat Information Center. When the response finally came, it carried the weight of a death sentence. "Viper 1, negative on air support. All assets are grounded due to enemy SAM coverage. Recommend immediate exfiltration to Rally Point Echo, over." Ghost's fingers tightened around her coffee cup as she studied the satellite feed. The enemy had boxed the SEALs into a narrow valley with steep walls on 3 sides. Rally Point Echo was 12 kilometers away across open terrain swarming with hostile forces. It might as well have been on Mars. "Sir," she said quietly to Admiral Harrison Webb, who stood rigid behind the tactical displays, "there has to be something we can do." Webb's weathered face remained impassive. "The F-18s can't penetrate that SAM umbrella without significant losses. The A-10s would be sitting ducks, and our stealth assets are already committed to the primary mission." His voice carried 40 years of making impossible decisions. But Ghost wasn't looking at the primary mission anymore. She was studying something else entirely on her personal tablet, classified flight schedules that most people in the room didn't have clearance to see. Her pulse quickened as she traced her finger across the screen. There, listed under Training Exercise 7 Alpha, was a single F-35C Lightning II conducting electronic warfare systems testing in a holding pattern 200 nautical miles south. The aircraft was officially invisible to this operation. Unofficially, it was the only asset capable of penetrating enemy defenses and reaching those SEALs alive. But using it would require someone to make a decision that could end careers, start international incidents, or save 8 American lives. Ghost's hand moved toward her secure communications device, then stopped. The weight of what she was considering pressed down like the Syrian night itself. In 12 minutes, Chief Rodriguez and his team would attempt their desperate run to Rally Point Echo. Without air support, intelligence estimated their survival chances at less than 30%. She looked at Admiral Webb's profile, then back at the satellite feed showing 8 heat signatures moving through the darkness, and made a choice that would define the rest of her life. The encrypted message went out on a frequency that officially didn't exist, routed through 3 different satellites to mask its origin. "Phoenix 77, this is Control Actual. You are cleared for immediate diversion to grid November 75. Package requires urgent delivery, time critical. Authentication Charlie Lima 997. 200 miles south. Captain Alina, Phoenix." Volkov felt her F-35C Lightning II respond to the slight adjustment in her grip. The aircraft was a marvel of engineering, a $30 million ghost that could penetrate enemy airspace like a whisper through a thunderstorm. Its faceted surfaces absorbed radar waves, while its advanced sensors painted a picture of the battlefield that few pilots would ever see. "Control Actual, Phoenix 77 copies," she transmitted back, her Russian accent barely detectable after 15 years in the American military. "Request clarification on package type and delivery method." The pause that followed told her everything. When Ghost's voice came back through the encrypted channel, it carried a weight that made Alina's stomach tighten. "Phoenix 77, package consists of 8 precious items requiring immediate extraction assistance. Enemy has deployed advanced air defense systems. You are the only delivery method available. Alina's eyes moved across her instrument panel, each display telling her story of the impossible mission ahead. The ALQ-81 electronic warfare suite showed multiple SAM sites painting the Syrian mountains with search radars. Her RWR, radar warning receiver, would start screaming the moment she crossed into their engagement envelope. But the F-35 stealth technology wasn't just about avoiding detection. It was about choosing when to be seen. Control actual, Phoenix 77 understands the package requirements, she replied, her voice steady despite the racing of her heart. What's my authority level for this delivery? Another pause, longer this time. When Ghost responded, Alina could hear the weight of command responsibility in every word. Phoenix 77, you have full tactical autonomy. Use your best judgment for package preservation. Alina banked her aircraft northeast, watching the Syrian coast appear on her displays. Below, the Mediterranean churned black under cloudy skies, its surface broken only by the wake of a distant cargo ship. Above, stars pierced the darkness like scattered diamonds, indifferent to the human drama unfolding beneath them. She thought about the 8 men waiting in those mountains, their ammunition running low, their hope measured in minutes rather than hours. She thought about the court-martial that would almost certainly follow if this mission went wrong. And she thought about the oath she'd sworn 15 years ago when she first put on an American uniform, promising to defend those who couldn't defend themselves. The F-35's engines hummed with barely contained power as Alina pushed the throttles forward, accelerating toward a conflict that would test every skill she'd learned, every principle she believed in, and every assumption the military had about what one pilot could accomplish when everything else had failed. Chief Rodriguez pressed his back against the cold stone of the Syrian mountainside, feeling blood seep through his tactical vest, where shrapnel had found its mark an hour earlier. His breathing was controlled but labored, each exhale visible in the frigid pre-dawn air. Around him, 7 other SEALs maintained defensive positions among the rocks, their night vision goggles scanning the tree line below where muzzle flashes erupted like deadly fireflies. "Viper 2, how's R6? Rodriguez whispered into his throat mic, not taking his eyes off the advancing enemy positions. Petty Officer First Class Jake Morrison shifted behind a boulder 30 meters away, his M4 carbine trained on a cluster of shadows moving through the valley. "Chief, I count at least 40 tangos moving up the eastern slope. They're using the dead ground to mask their approach." The tactical situation was textbook hopeless. Rodriguez's team had been compromising a high-value target's communications hub when the Syrian army had sprung their trap. What should have been a quick in-and-out operation had become a desperate holding action against overwhelming odds. The enemy knew these mountains like their own backyard, while the Americans were fighting on terrain they'd studied only from satellite photos. "Viper 6 status on ammunition," Rodriguez called softly. The responses came back in clipped, professional tones that masked the growing desperation. They had perhaps 20 minutes of effective combat before their ammunition ran critically low. The nearest friendly forces were 40 kilometers away, well beyond the range of rescue helicopters in this heavily defended airspace. Rodriguez checked his watch, 3:47 hours local time. In 13 minutes, they would attempt their break for Rally Point Echo. Intelligence had identified a narrow window when enemy patrols would be rotating shifts, potentially giving them a brief opportunity to move undetected. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was the only option left. The chief activated his satellite communicator, sending a burst transmission that would reach the Gerald R. Ford in seconds. "Control, Viper 1. Beginning movement to Rally Point Echo in 10 mics. Request confirmation that extraction assets will be standing by." The response came faster than expected, but not from the voice he anticipated. Instead of Admiral Webb's operations officer, a different controller came online. "Viper 1, control actual. Maintain current position. Delivery inbound, estimated time of arrival 8 minutes. Mark your position with infrared strobes. Rodriguez exchanged glances with Morrison, who had moved closer during the radio exchange. Neither man recognized the voice, and both knew that no air assets were supposed to be operating in this airspace. But the professional tone and proper authentication codes suggested this wasn't enemy deception. Control actual, Viper 1 copies delivery inbound. Please confirm asset type and delivery method. Viper 1, delivery method is precision guided. Recommend you keep your heads down and trust the process. Phoenix 77 is en route. Rodriguez had never heard the call sign Phoenix 77, but something in the controller's voice made him believe that maybe, just maybe, someone was coming to bring them home.